Hey guys, we're going to be reading some new books today. We have this really cool series here at the library. It's called The Last 13, and it's really weird. You start at the beginning is 13, and then you go all the way down to 1. We have all of the books here, okay, at the library for checkout, and they're science fiction and super fun reads. My daughter, who is 11, loves them. So we're just going to give you a little teaser today. I'm going to read you the first 2 chapters. They're nice and short, and it's super fun, okay? Super fun read. So let's start. This is The Last 13. You always start at 13 and go down, okay? Which sounds silly, I know. Written by James Phelan, and they're really good, okay? So chapter 1. I click my fingers, the deep, scratchy voice says, and everyone around us dies. I struggle to focus on the dark, imposing figure before me. Behind, there's a crater of shattered pavement, as though it has crashed down to earth from the sky. Concrete dust coats its black full-body armor, which shimmers slightly, as though in a heat haze. The face is completely masked. Even the eyes and mouth are hidden behind wire mesh, the only chinks in the sleek metal facade. The whole being vibrates. Like it's not completely solid, a shiver runs down my spine. Is this what death looks like? I instinctively turn towards my red-headed companion, Laura. At first, I think she's frozen like the rest of the world around us. While birds have paused mid-flight and a torn-out page of a discarded newspaper is suspended in the still air, she has remained motionless, facing away from this hideous apparition. But then I realize she cannot see it. I see especially her, the figure says, seeing my gaze flicker to Laura. It moves closer, now only 10 paces away, and the mask glints reflectively as it catches the sun's rays. The monster looks as if it's been drawn with sharp, scratchy pen, like moving lines of black ink tattooed viciously onto a human shape. The sight of this being makes my eyes hurt, and my head scream with its repulsiveness. This is between us, I say through gritted teeth. Laura looks around, her green eyes penetrating but yet unseeing. Who are you talking to? She asks. Stay where you are, Laura. Just keep looking the other way, I caution her, my instinct telling me to keep her away, keep her safe, even though she is much older than me. Ah, yes, the great Sam, finder of the last 13, the supposed hero who shows others the way. What is this thing, and what kind of hero does it think I am? So brave, right until the end, its voice rattles around inside my skull. At the final battle, just like the prophecy says, you will lead me to my rightful power, thinking all the while that you are saving these foolish people. Prophecy? Enough! You know why I'm here, boy! Hand it over! I have no idea what it's talking about, but then I sense a weight in my pocket. I have something important that this thing wants, this heavy round object. So now I know why it is here. I have what you want. Yes, you do. Where is it? I reach into my pocket and retrieve a dark crystal sphere. Yes, that's it. The blurred figure seems to shimmer at a higher frequency, as though excited. Give it to me. And then I might let your friend live. And everyone else? The figure shrugs, and every movement of its form leaves a slight disturbance in the air around it, a smoky haze. It's as though I can sense a grisly smile behind the mask. One click of my fingers, its voice quiets, becoming even more ominous, and everything around us burns. Think about that, golden boy. Everyone gone. Black-gloved hands mime clicking fingers, and I shudder. Good. You're scared. Now hand the crystal over. It steps closer. Give it to me, and your friend will be spared. I open my hand. Yes, that's it. Hand it to me, the black figure commands. I hold it out with a tenuous grip, as if it may fall at any second. What are you doing? It says, the amplified voice more urgent. You'll kill us all anyway. No, the tall figure takes a stride toward me. Don't be a fool. I will, if you don't promise. It steps towards me again, and I toss the crystal up in the air. The figure moves in a blur, diving forward, reaching out for the falling sphere. I lunge towards Laura, pulling her to me. Sam, what did you get down? I yell as we hit the ground. The figure grasps the crystal. As it does, it raises its other hand. I am too late. Fire radiates out. Everything around us, people, cars, buildings, glows from within and then explodes in quick succession. Ash and debris fill the air as Laura begins to glow and grows warm in my embrace. I close my eyes, and before she has a chance to flash brightly, both she and I are gone. Chapter 2. No! Sam yelled. He sat bolt upright in bed, bathed in a cold sweat, his heart hammering in his chest. Today in Vancouver, a mostly warm, sunny day, the radio DJ announced. Vancouver? I can't believe it's been a year since we moved here. Sam looked at the alarm clock, 7:43 a.m. His eyes automatically went to the black notebook next to the clock. He knew he should fill it in now, follow this little ritual his dream specialist psychiatrist had been making him do all year to help improve his sleep, to keep the nightmares away. But writing it down, he was meant to relive all the horrifying details blow by blow, just so they could explore it in their sessions. Yeah, it's working great. With a sigh, Sam picked up the book and started scribbling down what he remembered from the nightmare. A friend called Laura. She had red hair, green eyes, looked about 25. His handwriting was shaky, but he concentrated and pressed hard, steadying his hand and recording what he could. As he recalled the rest of the nightmare, he felt details already slipping away, becoming lost to the waking world. So he wrote in a scribbled frenzy. He finished by writing the last 13, then underlining and circling it for emphasis. The last 13 what? Sam sat down on the edge of his bed, resting his forehead on his hands, elbows on his knees, and scrunching the lush carpet between his toes. His messy brown hair was wet with sweat, and his heart was still racing as though he'd been running. He closed his eyes and took some deep breaths, settling himself. But the wrongness of the nightmare was almost tangible, and he knew it would keep him on edge all day. The bedroom door opened. Sam's dad, Mike, stood in the doorway. Come on, Sam, you're going to be late. Yeah, I know, I'll hustle, Sam replied. Your mother has made me breakfast. I can drive you to the bus stop, but you've got to hurry. Sam nodded. His dad turned to leave, but Sam saw him hesitate. Scout, the family beagle, ran into the room and licked at Sam's clammy toes. You all right, Mike asked. Sam looked up at him bleary-eyed. Yeah, I'm fine. I'll be out in a second. Sam looked up at him bleary-eyed. Yeah, I'm fine. Okay. Mike watched Sam scratching Scout's head, then looked over to the notebook. Bad dream again? Sam nodded. You made your notes? Sam nodded. His dad looked at the book. He was contemplating reading it, but then let it be. Well, all right then. Get ready for school. We don't need your mom going all supernova on us. Sam smiled. Okay, Dad. But his dad just stood there watching him. You want me to cancel your jujitsu class tonight? No, I'll be fine. In fact, it'll be great to go and kick some butt. Mike nodded and left, his heavy footsteps fading away. Scout's dopey face stared up at Sam, so friendly, always inquisitive, always understanding in some inexplicable way. Sam tried to remember more of his nightmare, but couldn't. It had already faded to next to nothing. The psychiatrist his parents had sent him to, Dr. Dark, said it would get easier, that he'd condition himself to remember and write down episodes verbatim. That hasn't really worked out yet. Through analyzing the notes, Sam could supposedly learn to control where his dreams took him. Somehow, through that, he'd have fewer nightmares. Yeah, right. 3 months later, and still the terrors woke him every other night. Still, he didn't remember anything but a few small details, like running away from someone or from something on fire. It was always the fire that woke him. Sam walked into the bathroom, had a shower, and got out before the egg timer on the soap dish went off. His mother, Jane's, latest project was saving water. Maybe a longer shower would calm me down, give me fewer nightmares, thought of that, Mom? In the mirror, Sam looked for changes, but he was still average height, average build, brown eyes and brown hair. Mr. Average. The scar from the accident was still there, but Sam was hoping for rippling abs and pumped guns. He'd been playing all kinds of sports to help tire him out and sleep better, but there was nothing to show for it. Maybe when I turn 16. Maybe when you get bitten by a radioactive spider, Sam said to his reflection and smiled. In his room, he threw on a fresh school shirt and yesterday's pants. Sam, this is your last chance, his mom's voice called through the house, a knife in and out of his skull. Breakfast! Sam sat at the kitchen table. His 2-year-old brother, Ben, was next to him, alternating between sculpting a mountain out of his scrambled eggs and pushing baked beans up his nose. Thanks for breakfast, Mom, Sam said. He poured a glass of juice, but he was not paying attention. Momentarily lost in a daydream, and he let the liquid overflow. Sam, not again, his mother grizzled as he was quickly mopping it up. Bits and pieces of the nightmare were trickling through his mind, distracting him. The fire alarm went off, making Sam jump from the table. His mom ran over to the gas stove and pulled off the kitchen towel that had caught fire, dousing it in the sink with water. It's okay, son, Mike said, and Sam sat down, nodding. Sam's parents sat opposite him, watching as if waiting for him to fess up, to explain something. either about his problem with fire or his latest nightmare. Sam, are you okay? His mother asked as he moved his food around aimlessly on the plate. Sam remained silent, lost in a vague memory of his dream. Sam? His dad said, his voice soft. Yeah? Sam snapped out of it, looked up. Is something wrong? His mom asked him. I'm sorry about the towel just now, but you're not eating your breakfast, which is a first. It's like you're not really here. I'm okay, just tired. I had another nightmare or something. A nightmare? His parents remained expectant, waiting, gently prodding him to continue. About what? The fire again? No, not exactly. It was about... I honestly don't know. Sam drank his juice. I can only remember bits of it. Sam's dad put his newspaper down, sipped his coffee, and looked from his wife to Sam. You want to tell us about it? His dad offered. Take your time. If you miss your bus, I can drop you off later. Maybe we can even book you in to see the doctor. No, it's okay. Thanks. Sam hurriedly shook his head and with great concentration ate a forkful of scrambled eggs. His mother asked, Was it a new dream last night? Sam nodded. Did you write it down? Yeah, some. I tried. His parents glanced at each other, Ben throwing a piece of toast. Sam ducked and it bounced off the wall and onto the floor where Scout vacuumed it up without even chewing. Sam, his mom said, you know you need to write it all down. I really tried. You'll forget the details otherwise. I want to forget them. Sam pushed his plate away. His parents were silent. I want to forget all of it. I want to forget what happened to Bill. Sam's parents' worried look was enough to make him realize he had scared them. No way was he getting out of going to visit Dr. Dark now. The fire that killed his best friend last year was the reason he'd started seeing the psychiatrist in the first place. And Sam knew he'd have to work hard to make his parents understand that this dream was something new. It was a really horrible nightmare, okay? Worse this time. It wasn't about the fire, but it was so vivid. Everything around me. People were getting killed by this thing, this evil thing. Thing? Well, yeah, I think it was a man. It was a tall, dark figure in some kind of special suit, all black, fully masked. Kind of like looked like he was shimmering. Go on. He was able to, he shot fire out of his hand. And Sam said, feeling a little stupid saying it out loud and all too aware of the concern mentioning fire would raise. I think he was able to freeze everything, the cars, all the people, time itself. Sam strained to think back, to recall it. Everyone was frozen, and this figure wanted, can't remember exactly, something about a prophecy and a crystal ball, and something about a final 13? The last thing I remember was him clicking his fingers and everything caught fire. There was a big flash, and it was hot and bright. Then I woke up screaming. Is that enough detail for you? His parents shared a concerned look when his father looked away and his mother looked straight at him. You know, we're only trying to help you, his mother said. You need to accept that Bill's death wasn't your fault. There was no way you or anyone else could have saved him. It's a miracle you got out when you did. This new nightmare could just be you finding another way to punish yourself. But we can help you get better. If, as Dr. Dark says, you can train yourself to remember. Sam stood up angrily and headed for his bedroom, but then stopped by the kitchen door, turned around and said quietly, It wasn't about this thing, this evil guy. He was going to kill them all, I remember that. No matter what I did, he was going to kill them. Who was it? His dad asked. I don't know, but he sure knew me. Sam, his mom said, what exactly did he look like? I told you, he wore a mask, Sam said, slowly forcing himself to recall more specific details. He wore a black mask, which even covered his eyes, and a black bodysuit. It was in a constant state of motion, like it was a heat mirage. And I could tell you, through his voice and his motions, that he was enjoying himself, being in control like that. And then everyone died. He burned them all. Dressed all in black, his dad said thoughtfully. And his voice was weird, said Sam, remembering the tone and volume of it, like it was amplified and scrambled or something, metallic, disguised. Okay, his dad said, go get your things. I'll drive you to school. And we'll make you an appointment with Dr. Dark for this afternoon. Sam went to get ready. His parents seemed to be taking him seriously, which made it even harder to shake off the feeling that something was now suddenly wrong in the world. Very wrong. So, that is just the first 2 chapters. And they're pretty intense, huh? They just get more and more intense the further you get along. And each book is that way. And they're all awesome. So I hope you read The Last 13 by James Phelan. And remember, start at 13 and go down.